We have new champions all over the world of wrestling, a total of 5 that we're going to talk about before we get into an AEW debut that took place at a house show. A house show? We'll talk about it, this stuff. Let's go ahead and start with the new champs in the world of wrestling. Right? We saw Ren Narita defeat Aaron Wolf at a New Japan Pro Wrestling show for the Never Open Weight Championship. Very interesting decision here. It seems like Aaron Wolf was a guy they wanted to build up with Mystique as he beat Evil in Evil's last New Japan match and Aaron Wolf's first ever wrestling match. But no, they've decided to go a different direction. It seems like Ren Narita will be the never open weight champion from here on out, and we'll see what that championship holds under the waist and over the shoulder of Ren Narita. All right. We saw 2 new champions on the last episode of AEW Dynamite. All right. Today is February the 18th. So AEW Dynamite will be taking place later today. But I'm talking 7 days ago, fam. We saw 2 new champs crowned. And before we talk about that, I absolutely want to talk about TNA No Surrender, as TNA also has 2 new champions as well. You see, TNA No Surrender was the first premium live event of 2026 for TNA. If you aren't familiar, TNA does 4 pay-per-views per year, one every season, one every quarter, and then they have these premium live events, all right? Similar to what WWE does, okay? Ultimately, we saw the first title change hands, which was the TNA International Championship. Stax has held this TNA International title for quite a bit now, and he's done a pretty good job with it leading up, right? We've covered on our show here what this is leading up to, and this is ultimately leading up to Trey Miguel defeating Stax and becoming the new TNA International Champion, all right? Trey Miguel has had it rough, getting his big break alongside his faction, the Rascals, going to AEW, only to be released from AEW the same week he signed his contract and back in TNA before we know it as a singles guy. And now he holds singles gold in TNA. Listen, man, I'm happy for Trey Miguel. I'm excited to see what this TNA International Championship reign holds for Trey Miguel. I think we're about to get peak work from Trey Miguel. I mean, I don't know. That X Division Championship reign he had back in, a few years ago before TNA was TNA and TNA was Impact Wrestling. That was pretty good stuff. I think we're in a position where Trey Miguel left, got screwed, came back, and now he's a champ. And I'm excited to see what he does, man. I'm hoping for career work, a career year for Trey Miguel in 2026. The second champion, though, to change hands at TNA's No Surrender Premium Live event was Ariana Grace defeating Lei Ying Lee to become the new Knockouts World Champion. All right. Ariana Grace has become one of the most interesting knockouts in TNA when she turned heel on her father, Santino Morella, aligning with NXT superstar Stax. And now she holds the gold. I'm excited to see what Ariana Grace has in store for us with that Knockouts World Championship this year. I think that's a great step in the right direction. It's a bit of a shame that Lei Ying Lee was a bit of a transitional champion. I expected a bit more from her. But then again, guys, I'm sure she'll get the title back eventually. I'm sure she'll get the title back sooner than later, as a matter of fact. So, yeah, 2 new champs crowned at TNA No Surrender. 2 really good new champs for TNA. I'm excited to see Trey Miguel. I'm excited to see what Ariana Grace does in her first reign as Knockouts World Champion. Good stuff, good stuff. Like I said before, AEW Dynamite crowned 2 new champions as well, okay? First, we actually saw Tommaso Ciampa defend the TNT Championship against Kyle Fletcher, only to have Kyle Fletcher regain the TNT Championship. Very interesting here. Very interesting stuff. Of course, with Grand Slam Australia taking place this same week, we will get to that. It made sense to put the TNT Championship back on Kyle Fletcher. It was great to see Mark Briscoe have it. It's been great to see Tommaso Ciampa have it. I'm sure Tommaso Ciampa will win it back from Kyle Fletcher at some point this year. But ultimately, yeah, if you're going to Australia, put the TNT title on Kyle Fletcher, who is one of the most prominent champions in the world of wrestling. Why? Because after AEW Dynamite, he went ahead and defended the TNT Championship in a ladder match against Mark Briscoe. This is the 7th match between Kyle Fletcher and Mark Briscoe. Game 7, if you will, right? And Kyle Fletcher retained the TNT Championship in that ladder match that took place at Grand Slam Australia this past Saturday. The second title to change hands on AEW Dynamite this past week was the AEW Women's World Championship, as Chris Statlander defended the title against Tekla in a strap match. And Tekla came out victorious in the main event of AEW Dynamite and is our new AEW Women's World Champion. I'm excited to see Tekla with the belt. All right, we've been building up to this. We've definitely been building up to this. And yeah, I think it was a phenomenal first reign for Chris Statlander with that AEW Women's World Championship. It was fantastic. The title win itself came out of nowhere, right? Chris Statlander defeating Timeless Tony Storm and 2 other women in a 4-way match for the AEW Women's World title back in September of 2025. And she did a good job. She showed up to work. She defended the title. It was great. But all good things must come to an end. And while I may have enjoyed the hell out of Chris Statlander's AEW Women's World Championship reign, her very first one, first of many, I'd imagine, she's going to be a legend. She might be the first woman in the AEW Hall of Fame whenever that happens one day. That's a hot take. We'll see what happens. Anywho, I may, be a little sad that Statlander is done with her very first reign of the AEW Women's World title, but I'm also very excited to see what Tekla does. I think, yes, this is somebody that we knew was going to win the AEW Women's World title early on when she debuted in AEW. All right, she has been built up to be a star, not just from AEW's booking, but also from Stardom's booking, from her time in Stardom. All right, so these are the new champions in the world of wrestling. Okay. And speaking of Stardom here, I want to talk about Saya Kamatani, the World of Stardom champion, who is just a badass wrestler. She is awesome. All right. Saya Kamatani. I know Stardom doesn't make themselves too available for the American audience, which is unfortunate. Is it possible to watch Stardom? Yes. Do I recommend going through the process of which it takes to watch Stardom? No, it's not convenient at all. Okay. I'm here to advertise pro wrestling shows and promotions that are reliable, viable, consistent, and fun. And Stardom is all the things except reliable for the American audience for several reasons. They don't exactly make it easy for an American audience to enjoy like New Japan Pro Wrestling does. Therefore, I have trouble ethically telling you guys that you should watch Stardom. Okay, I barely tell you guys to watch New Japan because, well, their shows take place in the middle of the night because they take place in Japan more often than not. Anywho, Saya Kamatani, the World of Stardom champion, suffered an unexpected injury in a match and wrestled through it against Starlight Kid very recently. And what was fantastic, dude. She's going to be out fixing that dislocated finger of hers for at least a month. But this gives me the opportunity to talk about how awesome Saya Kamatani is, as she is, in my opinion, the best women's wrestler in the world right now by far. We have so many great women in the world of wrestling right now, and Saya Kamatani is the best, okay? Shout out to Stardom. Shout out to Saya Kamatani. I don't get to talk about them too often on this show. It's very unfortunate. I hope that, one day maybe we have more accessibility to Stardom. But nonetheless, yes, Saya Kamatani has suffered a crazy finger injury, excuse me. She suffered a crazy finger injury during her match against Starlight Kid, and she wrestled through it. She'll be out for a month, but she's not relinquishing the World of Stardom Championship, and she'll be back before we know it. What else do we have here? We have TNA dropping their second batch of Creative Commons, okay? A collection of video that is not copyrighted. that is encouraged to be edited and posted, which I will continue to champion. All right. I built my following for Wrestling is Bullshit with nostalgic video match edits. And obviously, WWE and AEW have grown to not love me for that. So I pretty much stopped doing that and have put all energy into this podcast and really just into following the world of wrestling as it unfolds before us week after week. And I'm glad I made that decision. But this Creative Commons that TNA drops once a month allows me to step back in and drop some clips on my Instagram, make some edits, and have some fun, which is what this whole thing was built on. So I'm going to continue to champion TNA for doing that. I think somebody else that should do that is Stardom, right? I think somebody else that should do that is, any promotion that is not exactly in the limelight right now. That is not AEW, that is not WWE, nor is affiliated to WWE or AEW. Any promotion that creates a Creative Commons gives us the ammunition that us creators need to get the word out there on that promotion. Otherwise, how are we supposed to do it? How are we supposed to do it? So shout out to TNA for championing Creative Commons, creating a digital library for us creators and editors and all this stuff once a month. All right. And we can go ahead and share what's going on in TNA with some nice video editing. Okay. I don't have a watch list for you guys this week. We don't really have any matches of significance. In fact, we don't have any matches of significance happening at all at the time of this recording. But if anything crazy happens, I'll be sure to fill you in on the next episode. Okay, let's go ahead and end the show as we do so well with our top 20 champions of wrestling. This is a list that I compile and edit week after week after week. It is a living, breathing entity that ranks the top 20 champions in the world of wrestling based on work rate. Based on what, everyone? Yes, work rate. Okay. You might be confused as to why people are so high and why others are so low on the list. Okay. But ultimately, it is simply because they're not defending the title as much as they should, or they're doing an excellent job defending the title, and this list simply exists to champion them for doing so. So let's get into it. Let's start with our honorable mentions here. All right. We start with the never open weight 6-man tag team championship over at New Japan Pro Wrestling. Bishamon and Oleg Boltin hold those right now. We also want to shout out our IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, the Ichiban Sweet Boys from New Japan as well. They are in the honorable mentions here. Women's North American Champion of NXT, Izzy Dame, is great. The Women's Evolve Champion, Kendall Gray, is on this honorable mentions list. Women's United States Champion and Women's Intercontinental Champion are both on the honorable mentions list. Julia and Becky Lynch. FTR is on this list as well. The World Tag Team Champions, the Usos, are also on this list. Mike Santana, TNA World Champion, is on this list. And we have Drew McIntyre on this list as well, who has recently become the undisputed WWE Champion. And then, of course, the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, Yota Tsuji, rounds out the honorable mentions. And that leads us right into number 20 of the top 20 champions of wrestling. Again, based on work rate. CM Punk, the World Heavyweight Champion, who's been saying that he is a fighting champion. And yeah, he is a fighting champion. And that grants him the number 20 spot on the top 20 champions of wrestling list here as he gets ready to have one of the coolest main events of WrestleMania history against Roman Reigns for the World Heavyweight Championship. Kind of crazy. You never thought you'd see it. CM Punk versus Reigns, World Heavyweight title, main event of WrestleMania. Very excited to see it. And then we have number 19, the WWE ID champion, Cappuccino Jones, who's been doing a fantastic job defending this belt at several different shows. If you have the chance to see Cappuccino Jones, I would recommend it. Number 18, we have the AAA World Tag Team Champions, Pagano and Psycho Clown. Number 17, we have the Evolve Champion, Jackson Drake. Number 16, we have the Ring of Honor World Champion Bandito, who's been doing great work for almost a year now with that belt. Number 15, we have Claudio Castagnoli, the CMLL World Heavyweight Champion. Who saw that coming? Not me, but he's been doing a good job defending the title, not only on CMLL programming, but AEW programming a bit as well. Okay, number 14, we have the North American champion, All Ego Ethan Page, who's just been special with this title reign in specific. He's been fantastic, just getting reps, just getting comfortable in his own skin over there with the WWE way of doing things, and he's going to be fantastic. Number 13, we have the women's tag team champions of WWE, Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, have been built to the titles for the better half of a year and now have the titles and have been defending the titles on Raw and SmackDown, doing a great job. Very excited to see what's in store for them at WrestleMania. Number 12, we have the women's world champion, Stephanie Vaquer, somebody who we know what they'll be doing at WrestleMania, and that's facing Liv Morgan, defending the women's world title against Liv Morgan. Stephanie Vaquer has brought prominence back to the women's world championship and continues to be excellent with the title, and I'm excited to see her WrestleMania match against Liv Morgan, which will be top freaking tier. Okay. Number 11, top 20 champions of wrestling, MJF, the AEW world champion, who is continuing to defend the title, continuing to make these months without a pay-per-view for AEW very interesting. Okay. He's been doing a great job maximizing the situation, right? We know that January to March is a bit of an off season for AEW, and we know AEW kicks off the year in March of 2026 with AEW Revolution. They start Revolution as their first pay-per-view of every year, and that's where we start to see the fireworks. That's where we start to build to the big matches and have the big shows. MJF at number 11. Here we go in the top 10 here. All right. Again, based on work rate, showing up to work, defending the title, making it mean something with bell-to-bell action in specific. All right. Number 10 on the top 20 champions of wrestling list, Ring of Honor Women's World Champion Athena. She's been carrying Ring of Honor for years now. Number 9, a newer champion in the Ring of Honor, locker room here. Red Velvet, the Ring of Honor Women's World Television Championship, who has been featured on Ring of Honor television very prominently, defending the Ring of Honor Women's World Television Championship, improving ground matches primarily. Doing great job. You just got to show up to work and defend the title. Let the bell ring. Number 8, the United States champion, Carmelo Hayes, someone else who has been lacing the boots, letting the bell ring, and defending the title. One of the best United States champions that we've had in a very long time. Good on Carmelo Hayes. Number 7, we have Jon Moxley, the Continental Champion of AEW, who has also been lacing the boots, letting the bell ring, and defending the damn title. That's all you got to do, baby. Number 6, the Elegance Brand, the Knockouts World Tag Team Champions of TNA. Doing a good job. Filling the void that the Inspiration has left. Oh my God, we didn't talk about the Inspiration. Guys, the Inspiration, former Knockouts World Tag Team Champions, even former WWE Tag Team Champions, is All Elite. They have made their AEW debut at a house show that took place in Australia sometime, I'm guessing, after or before Grand Slam Australia. This is going to be very excellent. I'm excited to see what the Inspiration bring to the AEW women's tag team division, as I'm sure they will become locker room leaders and hold those titles before we know it. At least at the very end, by 2026, they'll have won those titles. I hope. If not, they'll build up to them and they'll eventually win them. Anywho, let's get back to this top 20 champions of wrestling list with the top 5. Number 5, we have Lainey Luck, WWE Women's Champion. Again, someone that just shows up to work, defends the title, does a good job. I recommend checking out Lainey Luck if you have the chance, if she's at an indie show near you. Number 4, the AEW Women's World Tag Team Champions, the Babes of Wrath. Again, just being consistent, showing up to work, creating interest for brand new champions as the inaugural AEW Women's World Tag Team Champions. Number 3, we get into the top 3 now, and this may piss you off, and if it does piss you off, good. Number 3 in the top 20 champions of wrestling list is the AEW National Champion, Ricochet, who, again, an inaugural champion for AEW in this brave new era of AEW. Ricochet continues to make the AEW National Championship mean something by showing up not only to AEW, but to New Japan, to Ring of Honor, to Rev Pro, to everywhere that you can imagine, to CMLL, even if I'm not mistaken, and defending the AEW National Championship and making this title mean something as its first ever champion. Number 2 on this list, Say his name and he appears. Joe Hendry is the NXT champion. Something that if you would have told me was going to happen in 2016, I would have said, are you kidding me? Joe Hendry's going to win the NXT championship? That's crazy. But here we are in 2026, and Joe Hendry is the NXT champion. Just makes me think about everything that Joe Hendry's been through over the past 10 years. Just makes me think about everything the NXT championship has been through over the past 10 years. I haven't been this excited for an NXT championship in quite a bit of time. I'm sorry. All right. That's the truth. Very excited. Very cool. Definitely makes me feel old. Right. I've been following Joe Hendry since WCPW. And yeah. And number one, the champion in the world of wrestling right now is the TNT champion, Kyle Fletcher. I don't know what happened with AEW and their TNT championship, but they have been in rare form with this title for the better half of 12 months. They have made this title mean something, from the likes of people that like Adam Cole that held it before he got injured, from the likes of people like Daniel Garcia, from the likes of people like Dustin Rhodes for a spell, Mark Briscoe, even Tommaso Ciampa for a spell. All of these guys for over a year, I'm mistaken, over a year, have done great work with the TNT championship. Jack Perry as a heel did solid. I mean, goodness gracious, guys. Like, the TNT championship feels special. It feels like it means something. And Kyle Fletcher holds the title once again, which is symbolic because he really is the guy that used it to grow from wrestler to superstar over the past year or so. Kyle Fletcher's number one. The TNT championship deserves it. Kyle Fletcher deserves it. And my goodness gracious. I mean, it's just cool to see a title that seemed like it was getting lost in the shuffle over at AEW just have a second wind of a lifetime and really be the most interesting championship in the world of wrestling right now. Good for AEW, all right? I'm sure this title is going to fluctuate. I mean, I'm sure this list is going to fluctuate greatly as WrestleMania season inches closer and closer. All right? That's what's fun about this list, all right? It is chaotic. It is sporadic. And it gives people their flowers, okay? It gives people their flowers. This thing is based on work rate, not talking, okay? Not promos. I understand promos, characters, and slow storytelling is very important. I understand that. You know what's also freaking important? Having good matches, defending the title, making that title mean something. And I am very confident in this list, the way it operates, the way I present it to you, and really the importance that it will one day have in the world of professional wrestling. You mark my words. All right, guys, that's about it. That's it. That's all I got for you. We'll definitely have a more watch list heavy show next week as we preview Elimination Chamber in our next episode, the last premium live event for WWE before we get to WrestleMania. All right, guys, be good, be happy. I'll talk to you guys soon. Don't sleep on Barry Oak.